back to my channel. My name is Darian and today I have an exciting video for you guys. I am going to be recommending books to every couple in Love Actually. So I feel like we all know what Love Actually is, but in case you don't know, by the way, if you've never seen this movie, I highly recommend. It's, I think, my favorite Christmas movie. I love it so much. It's just such classic early 2000s cinema. I just love that movie so much. I find it so cute and heartwarming and also sad and a little ridiculous, but I love the drama, and yeah, I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. But it is basically a Christmas movie featuring a lot of different stars, and it's definitely the first movie that I ever saw where it's like a bunch of different storylines, and then by the end of the movie you find out how they all connect. And I think a lot of movies and even books now have kind of copied that style. I don't know if Love Actually was the first movie or type of media that ever did that, but it's the first one I saw. So I really love that movie, and yeah, I highly recommend it. And so I thought it would be fun to recommend books to every couple in that movie, because there are a lot of couples, and some of these couples aren't even really couples. I'll explain in a second. I feel like if you've seen the movie, you'll see what I mean. But yeah, so let's just get started. So the first couple that I have are Juliet and Mark, and in case you don't remember these people's names, because I definitely didn't, I had to look it up. But Juliet is played by Keira Knightley, and Mark is played by that guy from The Walking Dead. I don't remember his name, but these two aren't actually a couple. Basically, Juliet, at the very beginning of the movie, she is marrying this other guy. I don't remember his character's name. I know it's played by Chiwetel Ejiofor. They're getting married, and Mark is Juliet's husband's best friend. And then we slowly find out that Mark has always been in love with Juliet, but Juliet always thought that he didn't like her because he was always avoiding her. But then the reason he was avoiding her is because he was in love with her and didn't want his best friend to find out, and he's been trying to get over her, but he couldn't, and it's very messy. But I think the most famous scene from the movie that I think people who haven't seen the movie know about the scene, it's the one where Mark is holding up the cards outside Juliet's house and basically tells her that he will love her forever and all that, which I know a lot of people have controversial opinions about that scene because it is kind of creepy, and I don't disagree, but I find in the context of the film and because of how the film is so just dramatic about everything, I find it's kind of a nice moment in the movie, even though it is weird. But yeah, so the recommendation I have is mostly for Mark, less so for Juliet, but I am recommending for Mark to read the Hunger Games series. And that is because in the Hunger Games, I feel like everybody knows because the Hunger Games is a very popular YA series, but there is a very famous love triangle in the series between Katniss, who is the main character, and Peeta and Gail. And Katniss and Gail have kind of been best friends forever, but it's, I mean, I guess spoilers for the Hunger Games if you haven't read it, so skip to the next part if you don't want to hear anything, but I'm not really spoiling anything. But anyways, it's pretty obvious that Katniss is going to end up with Peeta, but Gail is just kind of hung up on her the whole time, and he's definitely really jealous of Peeta, and it's not a good look, sir. And I do not like Gail. I don't like him at all. I think Mark should read this book because even though what happens to Gail isn't really a consequence of like him pursuing Katniss, things don't end well for Gail, and I think maybe karma has a little bit to do with it because he makes a lot of really bad and stupid decisions, and things do not go well for him, and he ends up causing Katniss a lot of pain. I'm not gonna spoil it, but he does a very big boo-boo, and then Katniss basically never talks to him again because of what he did. So I feel like if Mark reads this series, he will maybe really understand the path that he is currently on, and if he continues to go the way that he is, I mean, it's not like he's trying to pursue Juliet, he's trying to get over her, but I feel like maybe reading this series will, you know, help him get over her and be like, okay, I don't want what happened to Gail to happen to me, so I'm going to move on with my life. So that's why I'm recommending The Hunger Games to Mark from Love Actually. The next couple is Billy Mack and Joe, and Billy Mack is a very famous singer. He's releasing a Christmas song, and he's a little inappropriate, and he has, I think it's his manager named Joe, And I mean, Billy Mack basically spends the whole movie insulting Joe, but then at the end of the movie, so this is another couple that's not really a couple in my eyes. They are a couple because at the end of the movie they end up kind of confessing their love to each other, but I feel like it's written as platonic love, like they're just sharing their appreciation for each other, and it's a very meaningful moment, especially because Billy Mack kind of like, he's never really expressed his love for anyone before. In my eyes, I feel like they are kind of in love with each other, and I don't know, I feel like that's up to the viewer's interpretation because, you know, I feel like it could be platonic love, but I kind of feel like it's romantic love. So anyways, the book that I recommend to them is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, and this is because in Heartstopper, Charlie is openly gay, but Nick is not that, well, he is in the closet, but it's that he doesn't even realize that he's not straight until he meets Charlie, and then he starts realizing that he may be bisexual. So I feel like if Billy Mack and Joe are confused about their feelings, they could read this series and then maybe realize, okay, actually this is a platonic love and they're just really good friends, or maybe they'll realize that they are actually romantically in love with each other, because the love in this series that these two share is so cute. It's so cute. So I feel like if they did feel that romantic love for each other, this book would help them realize that, and if they didn't, then this book would also help them realize that, so that's why I recommend this book to them. So the next couple, who is my first like actual real couple in this list, is Jamie and Aurelia. Jamie is played by Colin Firth. I'm not sure what the actress's name is who plays Aurelia, but their storyline is basically Jamie is staying at this cabin and Aurelia comes to be his housekeeper kind of, but she doesn't speak any English, she only speaks Portuguese, I believe, and so they have this language barrier between them, obviously, because he doesn't speak any Portuguese, she doesn't speak any English, but they spend basically all day every day together and they start to fall in love, and then, you know, there's that famous scene at the end of the movie where we find out they both, like once they both go back to their homes, we find out that they've both been learning each other's languages, and then Jamie, I almost said Colin, Jamie goes to where she works and confesses his love, and then, you know, they end up together obviously. But I think the main thing between these two is that barrier between them, because they clearly are in love with each other, but they don't really see how it could work because he doesn't speak her language, she doesn't speak his language, so they've never really had a proper conversation with each other. So the book that I'm going to recommend to them is Strange the Dreamer by Lady Taylor, and I have a reason, okay? I'm not just recommending this just because, okay? I have a reason. So the reason is because Laszlo and Sarai, they obviously like each other in this book, and they have a pretty big barrier in between them. I'm not gonna go into details, especially at the end of this book and going into the next book. There is quite a big barrier in between them. They still find a way to make their relationship work somehow, so I would recommend this book to them, because maybe if they see how Laszlo and Sarai persevere to be able to be together, then that will inspire them to also persevere, which I know they end up doing, but I would recommend this to them like halfway through the movie, not after the movie ends, you know? But yeah, this is the book that I recommend to them. And to you guys, because this is my favorite book, okay? So the next couple I have is Harry and Karen. Harry is played by, oh my god, I forgot his name for a second, Alan Rickman, and Karen is played by Emma Thompson. And I think they're the only couple in this movie that are like an already established they're an already established couple. They're married and they have kids, and you know, they're married. And I hate this. I hate the storyline, but basically Harry works with this young girl at his office who is clearly trying to seduce him, and he gets distracted, and they never really say in the movie if he does cheat on Karen, but I think recently one of the writers for the movie came out and said that he does cheat on her and that it's supposed to be implied that he cheats on her, so I hate that. because Karen is amazing. Like, Emma Thompson deserves the world. And the scene where she's listening to Joni Mitchell and she's crying, oh my god, it makes me cry every time. So clearly Harry does not deserve Karen. He deserves garbage and she deserves the world. So again, this book I'm only recommending to him, not her. She is perfect the way she is. But to Harry, I recommend reading Looking for Alaska by John Green, because I really, really, really do not like this book. I thought it was so boring. It's so pretentious. It makes no sense. I just don't like it. I'm sorry if you love this book, but I hate it. And so even though it's really short, I think Harry should read this so that he has to sit through what I had to sit through reading this book. And even though it's short, I think it feels like a million pages, to be honest. And then, you know, on top of that, I'm going to recommend that he writes like 5,000 word essay on this book and give him really hard instructions because I'm mad at him. So yes, I recommend I recommend he read this book because I don't like it and I don't like him, and that's all there is to it. The next couple I have is David and Natalie, and they are personally my favorite couple from the movie. I love their storyline. I find them so cute. So David is played by Hugh Grant. Again, Natalie, I don't remember the actress's name, but Hugh Grant is the Prime Minister of England. And okay, my battery just died, so if the angle changed a bit, that's why. But I think I was saying that David is the Prime Minister of England and Natalie is like one of his assistants. I don't remember her actual title, but she works for him. And immediately they basically fall in love with each other at first sight, and it's so cute. Oh my gosh. I love them so much. So obviously he feels like he can't be with her because he's her boss and he's the Prime Minister, and he feels like it would look bad on him if he dated someone who worked for him. And the book that I'm recommending to them, I feel like it's kind of an obvious one, but it's fine. So the book that I'm recommending is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I love this book so much. It's so cute, and this book follows the Prince of Wales, the Prince of, I almost said Egypt. You know, I love that movie. The Prince of Wales or the Prince of England, honestly, I don't really know. And Alex, who is the first son of the United States, and they have a romance, and they kind of have to hide their romance for a while, and then obviously that doesn't work out, and so a lot of complications ensue. And I feel like if David and Natalie read this book, they could relate to these characters and then also see that everything will turn out okay. And yeah, again, this is a book that I would recommend to them like in the middle of the movie, not at the end of the movie, because they're fine at the end of the movie. But yeah, I feel like they could really relate to Alex and Henry in this book, so that's why I am recommending it to them. So the next couple that I want to talk about is Sam and Joanna. They're so cute. So Sam and Joanna are kids. Sam is played by Thomas Brody Sangster, who is Newt from The Maze Runner, and I think he's also in The Queen's Gambit, which is a Netflix show that I still need to watch. I love Thomas Brody Sangster so much. When I saw the Maze Runner movie, like, I fell in love with him. So yeah, I have a huge crush on him, but in this movie he's like 10, so... And Joanna is, I can't remember her name, but I know she's in an episode of Phineas and Ferb. And when I do, you're gonna be busted. So that's important. But anyway, so basically Sam is in love with Joanna. He is talking to his stepdad, Liam Neeson, about her all the time, and he's trying to find a way to tell her that he loves her, but he feels like she doesn't even know he exists. And then at the end of the movie, he plays in the band for her performance at their like Christmas concert at their school, and it's just very cute. It's very wholesome, and the book that I want to recommend to them is the Percy Jackson series. So the Percy Jackson series, I feel like is considered middle grade. I think it's written for middle grade age. So first of all, the age range is perfect for them. And also, one of my favorite relationships of all time is in this series, Percy and Annabeth, and I love Percy and Annabeth so much, and I feel like if they read this series, I feel like they would just really love Percy and Annabeth and the journey they go on. But yeah, so I feel like they would just really maybe relate to it, especially Sam's, like, he really wants to tell her how he feels, but he feels like he can, and he's nervous, and blah blah blah. So I feel like they would really enjoy this series and enjoy Percy and Annabeth's relationship. So the next relationship is Sarah and Carl, and Sarah is played by Laura Linney, and Carl, again, I don't remember the actor's name, but their relationship kind of frustrates me because Sarah has had a crush on Carl forever, and then finally they get together, but they are interrupted because Sarah's phone keeps ringing because her brother is mentally ill and often calls her, and she feels like he has no one else, so she feels guilty if she doesn't answer the phone, and she wants to be there for him. And I feel like this couple just lacks communication skills because, like, Carl just leaves, kind of. Like, you can tell he wants to be there for Sarah, but she kind of doesn't really let him in, and Carl doesn't really tell her how he feels, and so they don't really work out because neither of them really talk to each other about how they're feeling. They just kind of, like, Sarah just assumes she can't be with him because she has to be there for her brother, and Carl just assumes that she doesn't want to be with him, kind of. And I feel like if they just talk to each other, then that would solve everything. So the book that I'm recommending to them is Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. And I actually haven't read this book, but I feel like everyone knows the story. I have seen the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, so it's fine, I've seen enough. But the reason I'm recommending they read this book is because Romeo and Juliet severely lack in communication skills. Their story is so frustrating because we all know the story of Romeo and Juliet, right? Like, I'm about to spoil it, so if you for some reason don't know and don't want to be spoiled, then skip ahead. But in Romeo and Juliet, I'm only basing this off of what I've seen from the movie. I mean, I know this happens in the book too, or the play I should say, but anyways, basically Juliet drinks this potion or thing that allows her to, like, fall asleep, or basically she gets into a coma for like 3 days, I think, and her body kind of shuts down, so she's presumed dead even though she's not dead. But she doesn't tell Romeo that she's doing this, which I don't understand why. So then Romeo thinks she's dead, and so he goes and he sees her dead body, and he's like, well, I'm gonna drink this poison because why would I keep living if she's dead? And in the way that, I don't know if this is how it is explained in the book, but in the movie, he literally is, like, she wakes up and he's not looking at her, and he goes to drink the poison, and then she's like, oh, and she, like, touches his face, and then he looks down and sees that she's alive, but it's too late, he already drank the poison. So then he dies. So yeah, if they had just talked to each other, everything would be fine, but they don't, and so they both end up dying, which I think is very frustrating and stupid. So I feel like Sarah and Carl should read this book because it's not like either of them are about to die for each other anytime soon, but I feel like if they read this, they could see, you know, the harmful impacts of the lack of communication skills, and if they just talk to each other, then we can avoid such frustrating situations. So that's why I recommend this book to this couple. So the last couple I want to talk about is John and Judy. John is played by Martin Freeman. Judy, again, I'm not sure of the actress's name, but they meet under unconventional circumstances. Basically, they are, from what I understand, they are like stand-ins for they are stand-ins for porn stars. So they don't actually, like, they don't really do the acting in porn movies. I don't know how to explain this, but they are the stand-ins. That's pretty self-explanatory, right? Everyone knows what a stand-in is. Anyways, so they're working on this movie together, and so they're always, like, basically mimicking having sex with each other when they're not actually, and since they're only stand-ins, like, they're allowed to talk because, you know, that's how it works, I guess. So they always have, like, really nice conversations with each other, and they really get to know each other through this experience, and through talking a lot they end up liking each other and forming this relationship. And so the book that I want to recommend to them is The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson, because this book is a mystery thriller, and I feel like this book takes so many twists and turns, and when I was reading it, I never saw where it was going. So I feel like if they read this book together at the same time, I feel like they would have a really good time like discussing what their theories were and, you know, talking about what was going on and what they thought was gonna happen. I feel like they would have a really good time reading this book together. So that's why I recommend it to them. So that's all I have for book recommendations for the couples from Love Actually. Let me know if you agree or disagree with the books that I recommended to each couple, and if you disagree, which book would you recommend to that certain couple? But yeah, I hope everyone is having a nice holiday season, and I hope you are able to watch Love Actually before Christmas or even after Christmas. There's never a bad time to watch it, honestly. I haven't even watched it yet this year, so I gotta get on that. But yeah, let me know who your favorite couple from Love Actually is, okay? My favorite is David and Natalie, and also if you watch till the end, leave like that emoji where like two people are kissing and there's like a heart between them. Leave that emoji if you watch till the end. Okay. So yeah, that's all I have for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon with another video soon. Bye!